Rachel, what were your thoughts just being in that hearing and everything that was said?
It was definitely hard to sit through. We heard more than what we had looked into because we didn't want to know everything that he went through, so we found out more today. That makes it really hard to stomach. I am so grateful for the judge because she really let him have it, and I'm grateful for her and her words and what she said, because I really feel like she is making sure that justice will be sought and that Gavin will get justice. And I'm still just hoping that there's change so that this doesn't happen to more children, because this never should have happened to Gavin. There were lots of times that he could have been saved and wasn't, and it's just not fair. And we miss him and we love him, and it's hard for everybody that knew him, and everybody was affected by this that knew Gavin. And so I really appreciated the judge, and I think we all did, the words that she said today, and that I think she's really trying to get Gavin his justice, which even the maximum sentence is not enough for what they did to Gavin.
Miss Jan, what was kind of going through your mind from day one? You knew that this wasn't accidental.
I'm just heartbroken, and I just wished I had did more to help him. And I'm glad for the judge today because I feel like justice is being served. But I believe an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, and I think he should be starved in prison. And so that he knows how Gavin suffered and the things he went through.
You've had to carry this, since news broke that Gavin had passed away, this thought that, was there enough that was done?
No. I should have done more.
No, it's not on you.
We should have done more. Maybe that's more correct. We should have done more to push the issue to getting help.
No, our calls should have just been answered.
Yeah.
Our calls should have been answered. We tried.
We did everything that we could.
We tried. But it will still haunt us. Even after trying, it will still haunt us, and we will still feel that every day and feel this loss every day.
To be in that courtroom today and to see the judge also grow emotional, to hear her read that report and get just an iceberg tip of what they discovered, how did you feel?
Sick.
Yeah.
My stomach's been in knots all day, knowing we were coming here and what we might hear, and it just... I've been sick since July. I think we've all just been sick since we saw him and saw the state that he was in at school, and knowing that our calls were not answered. And I know I've been suffering from that since 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was really surprised with the judge today that she got emotional. And I think that just tells you how horrible life was for the poor little thing.
Yeah. She said she hasn't even been emotional in a case in over 25 years, so that tells you how bad this is.
Anything else that you guys want to say to the legislator, to those in charge, to DCFS, to investigators?
We have to try harder. There's more kids out there that need help, and we need to help them, and we need to make the changes to help other kids. There are so many kids out there that get overlooked, and we need to try harder.
Yes, I just don't think that we, as individuals, have a clue of the devastation that's going on out there with the small children of the world. And I do think the legislators need to do more.
First and last name, please.
Susan Phillips.
And former coworker with Shane.
Yes.
Okay, how did you feel to be in that courtroom today, Ms. Susan?
I feel like Judge Snyder really hit the right emotion for the situation. I was very impactful. I wish he had more power in the state of Utah and could just put him away for life. I feel like it's a travesty that he could possibly only get 8 years on something that should be a life without parole. But that's she gave him what she could with our laws, and I think that if we could change the laws when a child is murdered by the hands of their parents or anyone else, it should be an automatic life without parole. I don't think that 5 to life is an acceptable amount of time. But she did a good job, and I liked how she addressed Shane. I could see Shane's face, and there was no emotion. And it really showed the cruel and calculated person that he was and that I knew him to be. He was very charismatic at work, but he could be really cruel to others. And I saw that two-face today. When he read his statement, he tried to show some fake emotion. And when he was being talked to like he should have a long time ago, he couldn't.
To hear more from Dr. Lasky's report, from what investigators discovered in Gavin's death and the suffering and torture that he endured, what went through your mind? What stood out to you?
Sepsis. To die of sepsis. Sepsis is I watched a friend die of sepsis, and it's a very painful sickness. That alone, let alone the bed sores, being put in a room without any comfort, without a blanket or something to cushion that little frail body for the amount of time. That's roughly about 380 days. For every day, it must have been like a year of torture for that little boy. And I feel like every single day that he spent in there should be a year of Shane's life. I think 380 years is not enough time to put that man away.
Any other thoughts that you would like to share with us?
I would like for our state to change some laws and some regulations. The Health and Human Services, DCFS, needs more power to be able to go into these situations just like this. Instead of being able to knock on a door and say, hey, can we come in? And Shane Peterson say, no, you can't come into my home, and let that be the end of the story, is not acceptable. A school professional is mandated to tell when there's something wrong, but then it goes nowhere. And for me, if a school professional said, hey, there's a problem, there should be a warrant with a DCFS professional at that door that day and find out what's wrong. And not 10 days from now, not a week from now, and not give them a warning so they could clean up a mess. Find out what's going on. It should be immediate. A school professional has no skin in the game. There's no reason why that person should be saying, oh, I don't want, to cause any problems, but this is a kid that has a problem, What is their benefit? What was the benefit for a school lunch lady to try to feed a kid, and then for the stepmom and Shane to say, you can't feed my kid? There's no benefit. There's no reason for that not to get fixed immediately in our state. That's my biggest beef, is that we have no power, no control.
Thank you, Ms. Susan.
Yeah, Sabrina, Tracy.
And title, advocate for Gavin?
Yeah, child advocate.
Okay. What did you think of being inside that courtroom today, and quite frankly, what we learned about Gavin's torture?
Yeah. There were parts of the torture that were very shocking, things that came out that I wasn't even aware of. I mean, I could only imagine, with some of the reporting that's been done, what he went through, but they actually outlined some real specifics of abuse. I think just the emotion that came off Judge Snyder today was very telling of what she knows that we don't know potentially, and I like the fact that she was able to read some of that out loud. I feel like she might have done that by design to see how Shane Peterson reacted. And I think the thing that shocked me the most was the lack of empathy or remorse or emotion at all from Shane Peterson. I felt like I was watching a monster in the courtroom today. He cried for a short minute when he realized what he was up against, and it was done. It was like crocodile tears. I've never witnessed anything so, I would use the word sadistic.
Hey, could you just move your hair's a little wild? I just want to make sure you look good.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Learning more details, hearing from the judge, was enough done to help Gavin? Could this have been prevented?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what I've been fighting for. I mean, justice was served in some aspect, right? He got a sentence, it got ran consecutive, but the guidelines, again, for a felony 1 for child homicide is 5 to life. The minimum on that is bigger than, or smaller than any drug charge that carries minimums. That's shocking to me that even with a consecutive sentence running minimally, he could be looking at like 7-8 years. That's not enough, and that's what I'm fighting for. We're not only fighting for that, we're fighting like why this happened to begin with. Like, why will the state of Utah not work on getting those warrants? This was abuse that went on for years. They pulled him out of school. There's got to be something in place that makes sense, that says when we've got this much history of abuse on file, we can work with law enforcement, and if they don't come to the door after X amount of time, we can go in and get that child safe. It's not, I have wrote specific legislation to every senator, every House of Representative, with no response. I got one response from Tyler Clancy, a House of Representative individual, who happens, looked at his bio, he happens to be a police officer in law enforcement, and he was really kind. He said, keep fighting the good fight, we're hearing you, Sabrina. But that's all I've heard. I've wrote the constituent's office 3 times to Governor Cox. I asked him for 20 minutes of his time to come in and talk, to just say, this is my ideas, and I think they're gonna work. I've put a lot of thought behind this, and I just don't want this to happen again. This is senseless. We could have prevented this, and right now, there's a child out there being abused. There's many. And our children are our most precious entity, they're our future. And we, as a state, need to protect them when the parents don't. We have that obligation.
We're all done. Thank you very much.